Hello and welcome to the Global Risk Podcast by Solus Global. I'm Amy Stone, and today's episode will explore 7 indicators that your executive protection and travel security program may need to scale and what a modern integrated approach looks like in practice. Historically, executive protection was reserved for senior executives travelling to high-risk countries or operating in particularly challenging environments, but today that's no longer the case. Executive protection is now forming part of a broader travel risk management and corporate travel security strategy. And these strategies need to keep pace with rising geopolitical tensions, evolving threats, changing employee expectations, or to maintain your duty of care. Recent research shows that more than half of organisations have increased their security budgets over the last year, while at the same time cybersecurity incidents, natural disasters, civil unrest and rising crime continues to feature among the most significant concerns for travelling employees. Today's episode is designed to help you recognise the signs if a change of approach is needed before an accident or near miss happens. So, let's begin. Sign 1. You have intelligence but no commitment to respond. The first sign is that your organisation receives intelligence, alerts and reporting, but it lacks a confirmed response capability. Many organisations subscribe to intelligence services and receive regular updates on emerging threats. But when a major incident occurs, they find themselves without a pre-agreed plan, a dedicated resource, or a provider that has a contractual obligation to act. While intelligence is valuable, intelligence without a response capability can leave organisations making critical decisions while simultaneously trying to source support. We've seen this challenge exposed repeatedly during recent geopolitical crises. And when conflict escalates, causing airspace closures and congested borders, demand for evacuation support increases rapidly. Organisations who have arrangements split across different providers for traveller tracking, close protection, emergency assistance and crisis response, they find that all of these providers have no obligation to coordinate with each other. The result can be delays, confusion and significantly higher costs. A useful question to ask yourself is this: do you have a provider with a confirmed commitment to respond, not simply report during a crisis? And have you tested that commitment against a realistic worst-case scenario? Sign 2. You can't account for all of your people. So the second sign is a visibility problem. When an incident occurs, how long does it take your organisation to understand where people are? Historically, this challenge focused on international travellers, but today it's much broader. Hybrid working has fundamentally changed the accountability gap. Organisations now need visibility not only of travelling employees, but also remote workers, contractors and personnel operating from third-party locations. So when a crisis occurs, the time spent establishing who is where is time spent not responding. Real-time visibility is increasingly becoming a baseline duty of care requirement, and modern travel risk management platforms that provide live tracking, journey monitoring and two-way communication tools help organisations maintain awareness of their people wherever they're working. So ask yourself, if an incident occurred right now, could you accurately account for every employee, whether they're travelling internationally, travelling domestically, working remotely or operating from another location? Sign 3. Your duty of care framework hasn't kept pace. The third sign is that your duty of care framework was designed for a very different risk environment. Many policies were developed before the levels of geopolitical instability, regional conflict and workforce expectation that we're seeing today. People are increasingly expecting their employer to actively support their safety and well-being, not just maintain a policy document. And at the same time, organisations face growing legal, reputational and operational consequences if their duty of care obligations are perceived to have fallen short. The cost of programme failure extends far beyond the immediate incident itself. It can affect reputation, employee confidence, recruitment, retention and stakeholder trust. So consider this. How do you define duty of care within your organisation? And has that definition kept pace with today's threat landscape? Sign 4. Your emergency response plan has never been tested. The fourth sign is straightforward. You have a plan, but you've never tested it. Many organisations possess detailed emergency response documentation, yet few have validated those plans against realistic scenarios such as a terrorist attack, a natural disaster, civil unrest, or a crisis affecting senior leadership overseas. Testing often reveals assumptions that were never challenged, such as insurance limitations, escalation gaps, communication failures, and resource constraints. A plan on paper may look comprehensive, but confidence only comes through validating those assumptions. This is where a tested global security operations centre that's supported by defined procedures and experienced personnel becomes particularly valuable. So ask yourself, when was the last time your emergency response plan was tested? And did that exercise genuinely prove your ability to respond under pressure? Sign 5. Intelligence is not informing pre-travel planning. The 5th sign is when intelligence remains generic rather than operational. Travellers receive broad country information, but not the contextual intelligence needed to influence real decisions. An intelligence-led approach to executive protection is often the difference between preventing an incident and simply responding to one. Today's threats rarely occur in isolation. One major event triggers a cascade of others, and pre-travel planning grounded in current threat intelligence significantly reduces exposure. So ask yourself, where have your executives or travelling employees felt most vulnerable over the past 12 months? And what intelligence could have changed their decisions? Sign 6. Your corporate brand is increasing exposure. The 6th sign is that your organisation profile has changed, but your protection program hasn't. Many organisations underestimate just how much their public profile influences risk. Aspects such as high-profile executives, sensitive projects or contracts, media attention or operations in politically sensitive locations, all of these factors can alter the threat picture. Executive protection should never be applied as a generic layer. It should reflect the exposure associated with your organisation, your people, and your activities. A programme that was appropriate 3 years ago may not align with today's reality. So consider this. Could your organisation's reputation, public profile, or strategic activities increase risk for your executives or employees? And has your protection programme been reviewed against that changing exposure? Sign 7. Your programme structure slows response. The final sign is often the most revealing. During your last significant incident, how much time was spent deciding who was responsible? Were you deciding who should be called, which provider should lead, and what was the escalation pathway? When ownership is unclear and responsibilities are spread across multiple providers, valuable time can be lost. The most effective programs create a clear path from insight to action. Intelligence, technology, GSOC oversight, and operational response work together within a coordinated structure. There's one clear point of contact, one escalation process, and clear accountability. And in fast-moving incidents, that clarity can significantly improve your outcomes. So ask yourself, in your most recent incident, how long lapsed between the first alert and the first coordinated response? And what was that time dedicated to? So, what does an integrated model look like when you're scaling your executive protection? There's 3 key elements that come together to build an integrated approach that gives clear ownership and proven capability. First of all, intelligence. So that's understanding threats, monitoring changing conditions, and supporting informed decisions before and during travel. Secondly, technology, providing traveller tracking, communication tools, visibility, and real-time reporting. And third, operational capability, a 24/7 GSOC that coordinates response, manages incidents, and provides a single point of control. Together, these elements create a more resilient model, one that provides routine business travel, executive movements, and operations in complex environment with equal confidence. So, to summarise, executive protection is no longer a niche capability reserved for a small number of high-risk journeys. For many organisations, it's increasingly becoming an important part of a broader travel risk management strategy. The challenge is ensuring that protection programs evolve at the same pace as the risks they are designed to address. If any of the 7 signs we've discussed sound familiar, now might be the right time to review your program before a crisis exposes the gaps. If you'd like to assess your current executive protection or travel risk management program, visit the website at solusglobal.com to learn more. Thanks for listening.